Hey, you're listening to Ask Luke and Mel by Luke and Melissa Christensen.
Hi everyone, so welcome to episode 2 of Ask Luke and Mel. So today in episode 2, we're just going to talk about creating that stronger heart connection with your partner. So, and I guess before we dive into creating that strong heart connection, we thought we'd just share a bit about what that actually means. So what is a heart connection to begin with? So yeah, do you want to share a little?
Hey guys, look, for me a heart connection is something that you feel. Obviously the heart is where you feel emotion, so when you have a heart connection you're feeling your partner's love. That's, I guess, that's what it means to me. So as talk about how to build that, obviously we're talking about ways for your partner to feel your love that you have for them.
Definitely, to just to feel that connection between each other's heart centers, and to be able to give and to also receive that love. So it's about sharing that. So there might be one day, one of the partners, like maybe yourself, you're feeling a bit down, and your partner can sense that through the heart connection and can help to pick you back up, and vice versa. So establishing that strong heart connection really just helps your overall relationship, because you're able to really tune into each other, through that connection.
Yeah. There's obviously been a lot of times, and in any relationship there is it's a journey as well as as anything else. So what you'll find is there'll be times where having the heart connection is very easy and feels so natural, and it just falls into place. You just flow with it, and you're in a great state with your relationship, which is always a fantastic place to be. And the other side of it is there's times where it's a challenge and it's a struggle, and you need to, I don't know if I like the word challenge, maybe there's another way I could frame that, but it's something that is a more deliberate effort. It's not coming naturally. And one of the great things I remember one of our coaches saying to us is, ask yourself a question, what would love do? And that's just another way of saying, when your partner is pissing you off, you can actually check in with yourself instead of reacting in a way that that your feelings and emotions and what feels natural. If someone's pissing you off, obviously the thing that's natural is to attack them or to storm off in a rage, and that is not what love would do. So if you can have a moment to check in with yourself and ask yourself, what would love do in this instant? Just love them for where they're at, or that was a helpful one for me early on.
Completely, yeah. So it's even though you're trying to establish a heart connection in your relationship, it's also about being connected to your heart, because if you're connected to yourself, I guess what Luke's saying, being more mindful of your own, and being, I guess, proactive rather than reactive, you're able to tune into your heart, your partner's heart, a lot easier, because you're very in tune with yourself. So, and going back to what Luke was talking about with, the challenging times and the disconnected times, it was interesting because we ran a workshop. When did we run that workshop?
Which one?
The one at Window Waters.
A month ago?
So we ran a workshop about a month ago, and it was very, very interesting, because leading up to the workshop, which was on a Saturday, that week prior, we felt very disconnected, and it was such a strange place to be in, because we were about to run a workshop on being connected with your partner, like, creating relationships and vitality in your relationships, so abundance. So it was very interesting for us to experience this disconnection again leading up into our relationships workshop. It completely happened for a reason. In hindsight, it helped us to be able to share very vulnerably with our workshop attendees, because we'd gone back to that place of feeling disconnected with one another. And
I think one of the ladies there asked, how did you sort of, how did that come up, and then how did you deal with it? Did you both say to each other, hey, I'm acknowledging that we're disconnected right now? And that's sort of how it went down. You know, I think Melissa said, hey, I'm not feeling the connection anymore, what's going on? And it was an awareness around it. So I think to maybe package up, you know, the checking in with yourself and what would love to, and sort of where we're going at the moment, the real word to help firstly with Melissa saying, you know, it's checking in with yourself, it's mindfulness, self-awareness. That would be the first step to helping that heart connection stay there. And then after being mindful of your own, you know, inner dialogue and your inner feelings, is then becoming mindful of your relationship and sensing, and, you know, rather than just going through and staying busy and distracted from life or from your relationship, is to actually check in with yourself and perhaps with your partner and say, hey, I'm not feeling the connection right now, or I'm not feeling loved right now, or I'm not, you know, whatever the language that is comfortable for you guys. But
because can I just cut in? Usually that comes out anyway, but through unconsciously it comes out, and through language that could be like, oh, you've done this and that, just because you're not feeling that love and you're not feeling that heart connection, it usually comes out in an unconscious reactive way. So if both partners are conscious about the disconnection, you can just neutrally walk up and say to one another, hey, I'm feeling disconnected,
or I feel like you're feeling distant lately, you know. It can be other, whatever, and it's different ways to say it.
So once you become more mindful, you're able to have a higher level conversation rather than reacting because you're feeling hurt because your partner hasn't been there. That is you are feeling a disconnect when you are hurt, and it's totally okay to have those moments. We're all human, and we all go through those situations where, you know, we experience those negative emotions that we don't want to experience. And
sometimes as you start to, I guess, be more aware of your own patterns in your relationship and in yourself and your connection, you'll be able to realize that there's probably times when things do happen in a way where there's patterns you can see. So, for example, a pattern that might happen is when work stress is higher. You know, for me, I will disconnect from Melissa more because I'm, I guess, leaving more energy in the office, or I'm working, or I'm just mentally on other things, and I'm I'm thinking about all the stuff I didn't get done that day that I need to get done tomorrow, and, you know, that's a pattern for me as a self-awareness thing, and as a couple awareness, you know, we'll share that. And
it usually triggers me too, because my love language is quality time. So if Luke's more in the business, or, you know, putting his attention somewhere else, then it's very easy for me to react because, you know, I'm not feeling that love. I'm not feeling that quality time. I'm not getting that connected energy. So then I'll react, and Luke will pull away more, and it's, you know, that's how the dynamics go. So
I guess that's the second point. After being mindful of yourself and checking in with each other, is then to look more into what patterns and what external forces happen that, you know, force this to happen. There could be when you see a certain friend, you know, that when you go and hang out with that mate, you tend to not worry about your partner so much because you're partying or doing other things. Or it could be, you know, certain activities that you do that get you totally disconnected. So, you know, eventually you can be more, I guess, aware to the point where you're preparing yourself and even, you know, your relationship to say, hey, I'm going to do this on the weekend. I know in the past, you know, it sort of has caused some disconnection, but, you know, I really want to work on that, and I don't want to stop doing this hobby, or I don't want to stop seeing this friend, or, you know, family member, or whatever it is that, you know, can sometimes get you in your partnership disconnected. So looking out for those patterns is a great help to prepare yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, even journaling about it and writing down, you know, what triggers you in your relationship, what are the patterns you're seeing. And even if you don't see a pattern, start writing down when you feel disconnected, or start writing down what you argue over. And then after a couple of weeks or a couple of days or a couple of months, whatever it is, you start to notice a pattern. You can even highlight certain things that keep reoccurring and then say, okay, in these situations,
Yeah.
what's going on for us?
Or what happened just before that,
Yeah, yeah.
that maybe is the domino that caused us
That
to be
caused this.
where we are now.
It could be the same thing that's happening, you know, just say you've got 20 things written in your journal and 15 of them could be the same, and it could be the same thing that is actually triggering those 15 things.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So that's sort of, I guess, maybe there's more, but to me we've sort of covered a lot more on how to be aware of not having a connection, whereas I guess the goal we want to get out of this podcast, or this time we've got together now, is to help you improve that connection and to deepen your intimacy. And I actually read a quote. Must have been only a few days ago, and I thought it was really cool. It said, the highest form of intimacy is honesty.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool. Like, you know, when you feel in a place where you're more open to share more of yourself and feel like it's a safe place that you can do that, which is, I guess, the goal of feeling that strong connection, is that you're loved for who you are, and that the person that you're sharing your life with accepts you and understands, or maybe not even understands fully, but they love and accept you regardless of if they understand everything about you or not. But you don't have to keep little things a secret from each other, and like even sometimes silly things, but you know, things that you maybe don't feel like you can share. The goal is to have none of them, and that even if they don't agree with what you're doing, that they know that they love you anyway, and you know they love you anyway, and you can together get through whatever you need to.
And I think that's having that loving understanding towards the differences, because if you look at mine and Luke's personality traits on paper, and we're completely different. We're pretty much. We're completely, you know, Luke's very extroverted. I do love speaking with people, but I recharge from being on my own, in my own space. And we both have, you know, Luke is very analytical, he's very good with numbers and things like that, whereas I'm a lot more intuitive, and there are certain ways, but that totally complements one another as well.
There's commonalities as well in different areas. So
yeah, there is.
We're both are stubborn of each other. But ambition, like wanting to have a best life and look after our kids' health, you know, we're on the same page in a lot of other areas.
But I guess it's that loving understanding that we are different. We do have different needs. And I guess having the man has his different needs to the woman, but it's all interrelates back in together anyway. But it's, you know, having that understanding that things are different for Luke and things are different for me. And, you know, even though you might completely understand why they do the things that they do, or why they want to do the things that they do, it's just having that loving awareness for them anyway. Because
so getting that stronger heart connection, there's a great principle, and this is a Tantra, I think it's from Tantra principle, where energy flows where consciousness goes. So a simple exercise that you can do to start feeling more love in your heart and feeling a stronger connection, and a real quick and easy one, is an eye gaze. Just to stare at each other and gaze into each other's eye. You don't have to say anything or do anything, but just be present in that moment of, you know, sharing an eye gaze.
And this doesn't have to be, you know, it could be a sit down for 5 minutes and have an eye gaze of an evening, or whenever you can fit it in amongst, you know, working kids or business. But this could be as simple as when you have your first hug in the morning, or when you have a hug or something throughout the day, instead of hugging or closing your eyes and leaning on shoulders or whatever it is that you do, you can take that moment to have the hug, but to sort of pull your heads back and to create that eye gaze. So it's just in those simple moments to add it in, so it doesn't, you can easily slot it into your life now, I guess is what I'm saying. Yeah.
So eye gaze is a great one. What was another one we did, where you'd sit down, stand or whatever, but you would share some things that you appreciate about your partner, just to say, like, I really love, even like, I love your hair, it looks really nice today.
Oh, thanks.
So, I love...
I washed it.
Well done. Or even to say, you know, I love the way that you care about our kids, or I love the way that you look after this part of our family dynamic, just to take a moment to say, oh, I really appreciate this about you. I love the way you always come up and kiss me and smile at me in the morning.
And also a good way. So if Luke is saying those things to me, I say thank you. And
to receive that.
Yeah, I receive that and feel gratitude for the things that he's saying. He's giving me his heart. He's sharing that heart connection, and there has to be that giving and receiving that creates that connection. So it's about taking that on board and being really thankful for the nice things that he's saying to me.
You're beautiful.
Yeah.
There's a couple of ways you can do that sort of exercise. You can do it like tennis match, where I say one thing, she says thank you, then she says something else, and I say thank you, and you go through a process like that. Another one, and I guess this is two phases around growing that energy and the feeling connection. One is around expressing things that, and in hearing things that you're grateful for, but also it's about sharing things that you are afraid of, or things that you feel bad about and you want to forgive yourself for. And you can do it as the same exercise, but instead of saying I appreciate this, you can go into I forgive myself for X, and then she will say thank you, or something like I love you.
Thanks for sharing.
Thanks for sharing. So that both those are a way of sharing more intimacy. Of sharing things that you're maybe vulnerable, or things that you just feel guilty about, like, oh, I'm sorry, that I forgive myself for, doing this thing, and then feeling like your partner's is there with you in that thing that you're feeling down on yourself for, and she accepts you, or he accepts you in your, I don't know, in your repentance or in your sorrow. Then you're sharing more of yourself.
And this can be challenging when you're first doing these intimacy and deep, heart connecting exercises. I know when we first started, it's, oh gosh, because they're really seeing into you. You're really opening up, and you do feel quite vulnerable, because you're letting someone in on that. It's like a new layer, a new level is opening up, and just go with it, and be open to being vulnerable. And I mean, this is your partner. This is the person that you love dearly. So just, be mindful of the resistance to wanting to open up. Yeah. But just keep giving, and just keep giving to one another.
There was another quote. It's on the quotes.
Quote master today.
Quote master today. It was really cool. I can't remember who it was. It was like a punk rock sort of guy, maybe the lead singer of the Sex Pistols or someone like that. Wish I knew his name, because I'm a quote guy today. But he said, I'd rather be hated for being myself than be loved for being someone I'm not. Good. And maybe you don't have to use that in every single relationship. Maybe the customer that comes and you serve someone, you just give them their coffee or whatever you do. You don't have to, if you're in a bad mood, be angry because that's who you are. But obviously that quote in your relationship, if your partner doesn't know who you are because you're not sharing that of yourself, then you're missing out on what do you, I guess, I don't know, this maybe sound too offensive, but what are you doing? You're going to die.
What are you in it
for? You're going to die lying next to a stranger. And if you can't get that in your relationship, then where else can you get it? That should be at least...
Share openly your deepest desires.
Yeah. I would rather you hate me for knowing who I am than love me for me and be a fake person every day together. If you don't love me, then I'm not going to be a fake person. Anyway, probably went too far with that. But that was a cool quote that, it puts you in a place where you say, that's a fair income statement. I like that. What is the point of, being a stranger and being liked for someone I'm not? On your deathbed, you're probably not going to be proud of that choice if you make that choice. Whereas, you can have this deep connection with someone on every level of your life. It's such a much beautiful thing to have than to sit there. And obviously there's fear around rejection. Obviously you don't want your partner to find out something about you and then hate you because of it. But, there's that risk. and your relationship. And
but it's got to be willing to take the risk to reap the rewards is the way I like to look at it, because it is richer. Like having a deeper heart connection, you'll know when you feel connected with someone how rich it makes everything else in your life. It just makes everything feel so much nicer when you have get a bit emotional talking about it. You have that deep heart connection. It really does enhance other areas of your life. So it's worth the risk. Open up, let yourself out, like pour your heart out.
Yeah.
And you'll find they're most likely going to do the exact same thing. They'll feel you. They will feel you.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. Yeah, so I guess in a nutshell, to help grow heart connection and more connectedness in love, intimacy is the first step towards that journey. Being able to show more of yourself. What's that? Into me, see. So intimacy, see into me, is a great way of looking at it. Those practices, eye gaze, sharing things I'm grateful for or things I like about you, sharing things that you forgive yourself for, and letting your partner hear those things so that they can, get more of a feeling about where you're at and who you are. Some other practices, the energy centers. Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, if you want, or the heart connection exercise.
Yeah.
The heart partner one. Which one do you want to talk about first?
Okay, go. Whatever you pick.
There is a really, really cool, really, really awesome exercise. One day, Luke and we weren't feeling connected. Actually, we haven't even spoke about how we're doing. We were doing, we'll go back to the workshop and how we were disconnected that week. We usually do Tantra Tuesdays where we allow a few hours for our relationship, and we do Tantra practices and really come in and really connect. We missed it that week, which shows into why we were feeling disconnected. So where was I going with that?
The heart exercise, I think you said.
Yeah, that's right. So when we were feeling a bit disconnected, I think I was actually the one, I was feeling a bit down, and I asked Luke if we could do this exercise, and we both actually sat here, and this is our bed, and we both sat here, and at first we connected in with ourselves. So we did this heart connection, like it's a solo one for yourself. And how you do this is you place your hands on your heart, and at first you really feel into the sensations. And so, is my heart tight? Is it light? Is it tense? Like, what are the sensations that my heart is feeling right now? And then you feel into the emotions. Am I feeling sadness? Am I feeling joy? And we don't have to overanalyze anything. We're just feeling. We're not thinking too much about it. And you just really feel into that heart solo. And then once you do that for a few minutes, you then do the partner exercise. So you can do that on your own at any time that you want to. But then, do you want to talk about the partner one?
Let's do it.
So after we did that, we then faced each. Actually, we're already facing each other. But we faced each other. Move around here. So for those on the podcast, we're actually just going to be doing this right now as we talk through it as well. So you can actually see this live on our YouTube channel.
It's not live.
Well, not live. you can see it. Maybe live, won't it?
It's on the line.
It's on the line. And so once you've connected into yourself and into your own heart, you then each take turns of being. So usually it's with the giving. We're left-handed, so we usually do it with our left. So if I go first, I'll put my hand on Luke's heart, and Luke places his hands on mine, and I focus on giving my love from my heart through my arm, my hand, into Luke's heart. And all Luke does is focus on receiving my love. And you do that for a few minutes, or as long as you feel, and then you switch. And then Luke places his hands on my heart, and I place my hands over the top. And I focus on receiving Luke's love that he's sending from his heart, through his arm, and through his hand into my heart. And this is it's really such a beautiful practice to really get connected back in with your partner, and just to feel nurtured, and to feel connected, and feel loved, and send that love and receive that love. And because you both get a turn to just give and you both get a turn to receive, that's really quite nice as well. So
Yeah. Oh,
feeling
nice.
well.
Lovely. The other thing I wanted to, and you can do that same exercise, by the way, with one hand on your partner's heart and the other one on their, what do you call, their yoni or their lingam, whatever that particular gender person has. So obviously
That's
the woman would have that, like her hand on her partner's lingam and one hand on his heart or on her heart, sending love to him through that energy center. So the reason that works and the reason it's done that way is, I guess there's two energy poles. There's a yin and a yang. So with a man and a woman, they're in opposite areas. So a woman's positive or yang energy center is in her chest and her breasts.
So that's what I put. That's a yang energy. So that's more of a doing energy. That's a woman. That's what she puts out to the world. She puts her heart out to the world.
Yeah, and obviously women are more sensitive and more intuitive generally. They've got that part going on, and the opposite is true for a man. His heart is his yin center. So that's probably why you'll find a general gender generalization that men keep their feelings to themselves. They don't show their true emotions as easily. That's because that's an internal side.
It's their receptive center. So they're sort of receiving in the heart.
They're not projecting from there
whereas
as easily.
The women are projecting out of their heart, whereas the women are receptive, and their yin area, their yin sexual pole, is their yoni. So that comes back to that sacred tantra terminology of the woman's, vagina, and the man's, penis is the lingam.
Yeah.
So
you'll see, I guess, a man, people even use the analogy, he's thinking with his cock, or he's, taking that, I guess, energy into the world. He's more easily sexually aroused quickly.
Yeah, so that's with his lingam. His lingam is his yang, and that's his.
So like a woman's heart is she's more expressive with her heart. A man is more naturally, easily expressive with his penis or his lingam.
It's his sort of doing energy, whereas his heart's the receiving. So he puts that out, but his heart receives. Yeah. And so whereas the woman receives with her yoni, but she puts it out with her heart.
So part of helping your connection in your relationship is firstly to have an awareness of those energetic poles, because if we're doing a lot of intimacy, emotional intimacy and feeling intimacy exercises, that's not necessarily going to spill over easily for the man to feel the love and connection, because they've got a physical way of receiving that love. So
there's another great one. Just reminded me.
Okay. Do you want to chuck that in now?
Oh, there's a really great exercise that I read in this book, and it's at night time, and it doesn't have the pressure of leading to sex or anything. So, if one partner is feeling tired or doesn't want to lead to sex, this is a beautiful exercise to still have that physical connection and that heart connection, but it doesn't have to lead to anything. There's no pressure at all to lead into anything. And so that's just when you're lying down, and you can place your hand on your partner's lingam, and they can do the same to you. They can place their hand on your yoni, and you can just hold it, and it helps them to feel safe and helps them to feel loved as they drift off to sleep. So that's just another exercise. I just thought of it, so I thought I'll
chuck it in there.
I'll chuck that in.
So so the way for the man to feel some connection is physically as well. Like it's the way that they're made energetically. So one way to think of it is as the woman connects with a man physically, it helps to open his heart center, and as a man connects with a woman's heart, it helps to open up their sexual center. So there's a yin and a yang of a connection there. So by being together in an emotional intimacy, or more feeling and talking about stuff, that's going to help the woman open up sexually more, because she feels loved and in a safe place to be there like that. And a man is the opposite. He obviously needs the emotional as well, but for him to open up his heart more easily and feel loved and connection, the physical love making and physical intimacy is going to help that. So,
and they say in Tantra that a woman's gift is to open a man's heart to love, and they say that a man's gift is to open up a woman's sexuality. And so that really makes sense to me when you do think about what Luke's talking about with the sexual centres and the poles and what you see in the world and in your own relationships.
Yeah. So I guess in saying that, it's really part of having a strong connected love and connection feeling. There is a physical process, a physical act of love making. You know, it says it in the word. You know, you're making love. Like you want more love in your relationship, then make some.
And and really be there whilst you're making love. It's not so much, you know, I like to say we're not human doings, we're human beings. So be present with your partner during love making. Really be there, feel the sensations. So don't let your mind wander off into that grand finale, the final climax, you know, the hoo-ha, the popping the champagne. Don't run off into that. You know, and it is nice. It's nice to experience, and I'm not saying don't orgasm because, you know, woohoo for orgasms, they're great. But it's so much more about enjoying the journey as well. It's like, you know, coming back to life, just enjoy life. It's not about the final destination. It's about really enjoying being with one another.
Yeah, take that time just to enjoy that moment. As you were saying, I was thinking about, and I don't know why, because I normally go X-rated with things, but this is my PG piece.
Why are you being PG today?
Is like, I just thought the analogy of someone who goes out and gets some food and has it sit down for a meal, and maybe it's fast food because they just want to fill their belly. They got a hunger or an itch they need to feed, so they go out and get whatever the food they can and just scoff it down quickly, and they're done as fast as possible, and they filled their belly, and they can't even remember what the food tastes like or if it was even worth eating.
They didn't feel awful.
Probably they don't feel that nourished from it. And the opposite obviously is, you know, not even actually in the eating. It's go back to the preparation. You know, what are you doing before you're eating? You know, how are you preparing your food? Are you, you know, fondling the bloody tomatoes or, you know, the lettuce, washing it with your hands and feeling the leaf? Like those things that happen before you sit down to eat, make that meal experience so much more enlightened and more nourishing for your soul and your body. So in the preparation of your lovemaking, you know, do things nicely throughout the day, and, you know, I don't know, whatever it happens to be, you know, just spend more time in the preparation of the meal, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then when you actually do finally sit down and the meal's ready, you know, have it, you know, presented nice, like, you know, little things. If the room's messy, clean it up a little bit. And
can I also say, it's really cool to think about lovemaking never ends. It doesn't have to necessarily end. It's not so much, oh yeah, we made love or had sex last night. It could be this ongoing, you know, sensuality and love between you and your partner, and you just keep this, I guess, not so much foreplay, but you just keep this loving intent and sensuality between each other, and that loving connection always ongoing.
Yeah, you can kiss, and it's like the meal. You can eat it, and it can be done, and you got it done. You can kiss someone goodbye, and like, I'm going to work or whatever. But if you just let that kiss linger for an extra 2 seconds, or not even 2 seconds, it's a totally different.
Present in it. It's not just I'm doing kiss goodbye because that's what I do. It's we're in this moment.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a full-on, you know, tonguey patch, but even
Could be.
No, if the kids are around. But you know, even just the kiss on the, like a closed mouth kiss on the lips, can be more centralized if you let it linger and be present.
I think about the intent. It's really the intent behind it. You're giving some love right now. You're not just giving a kiss on the lips. It's not just methodical or, you know, just but it's the intent behind it.
That's it. So is there anything else to add?
No, I feel good. I feel that was a big chunk of information to absorb.
All right. Well, if there's any extra questions, guys, comment, hit us up. I don't know how you can do it. YouTube, obviously, it's easy. Just comment below. Podcast, just email.
Yeah,
Melissa.
email Melissa, at melissachristенsen.com. And it is Ask Luke and Mel. So we do, if you have questions, you will remain totally anonymous. Just email me. I won't share your name, where you live, whoever you are, and we'll go about answering some of the things that you want to know regarding sex and relationships.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
So, thank you.
See you later.
Bye.